The only way Roma were going to score is a set piece or a shot from outside the area.
Yeah, Inzaghi should be paying Inter.
They don't have anyone that can really create. CDK doesn't create. Messias, he comes here and there.
You know, you feel the goosebumps when you hear the whole fans and the stadium being full.
There's few places that are better than Rome.
That's the beauty of football. Is the beauty of calcio.
They closed the street for what?
When Italy won the Euros, he closed the street.
He did like a block party.
Oh yeah, but they closed the street the other day when they
they didn't do that legally. They did that because they ran on the
they went on Broadway. Goes, everybody stop, Antonio, stop everybody. Okay, let's stop everybody. Let's everybody on the middle of the street. We're gonna take a picture. Because Antonio was going crazy like he's Napoletano.
Yeah, not legally closed. He closed from a sickness.
Think about the thought process on that. They said, Antonio, you run into the middle of Broadway Street. If you get hit, you get hit, but stop the cars.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
He was supposed to be here too. He got stuck in Jersey. I think he tried closing the street over there and he got arrested or something.
He doing what?
Tiles.
He somehow always misses when Milan lose. He goes missing.
That's true.
He's gone missing like Ryan's gone missing after Manchester United lost 7-0.
Maybe they're together.
They're hiding in a cave.
It's in a bunker. They're in a bunker somewhere.
They're hiding in a cave somewhere.
Bunker bros.
All right, anyway.
No connection where they are.
What a weird weekend it was. All upsets. All upsets.
Except for my
You're
team.
not a Roma fan, I guess, huh?
No, but like a lot of upsets, right? Oh yeah, not your team.
For Inter,
I didn't expect that one. Napoli Lazio, who predicted Lazio to win?
No.
Here.
Gaetano said a draw.
Okay,
I said a draw.
So
I called you. I told you 1-1.
Yeah. Okay, I had the same thing. I thought maybe they were going to slip up on a draw. Yeah, I had the draw planned. I said 1-1. That's what I was feeling, 1-1.
Yeah.
But I never thought in a million years that Napoli would lose.
You told me 3-0.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 3-0 Napoli.
You know what's so weird? It could have been one or the other, though. Like, it could have easily been 1-1 or it could be 3-0 Napoli.
When it was 1-0, I was like, oh, Gaetano's about to send a message. Napoli going to score any second. I know it. I was going to turn into Ryan for 6 hours.
Yeah, but they were.
But when you asked me, I said I'm not sure. I don't know. I got to stay away from Lazio and Roma.
the whole
teams.
They're hard to predict.
Yeah, I mean, you try to predict what's going to happen. Well, you can't with Lazio and Roma.
What about Inter?
Yeah.
Inter at home is solid.
Yeah.
Inter at home, you guys are good.
I had Inter winning. Now, Simone. Yeah, Simone is another guy that you can't figure it out. Yeah. But I had Inter winning and
the rest
and Roma tying.
Okay,
tying the game.
So not you did you bet or no?
Yeah, but
you lost your tie.
I bought
and his jacket.
My bet is
his jacket, Gaetano.
Mike had that.
He was lining that one up for you.
He's watching a lot of comedy podcasts lately. That's why.
Well, listen, with the money that I bet, you can even buy a button.
What do you do? 25-cent bets?
Yeah, just like Miguel taking after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe betting is not the forte of this group. No. Not good. Where do we want to start? Let's do the Napoli Lazio because it was a good game. It was exciting. I know it was 0-0 for a lot of the time, but it's not a 0-0 that was boring. Like it was very tactical. Waiting for the opportunities. It was lots of chances. What's so crazy to me is I don't think I've ever seen a Sarri team play like Catenaccio and play like a defensive style. Because usually he's somebody that he like lives and dies by a sword. But I think he knew if you try to play an open game with Napoli, you get killed. And right from the beginning too, I noticed it felt like the match that Inter played against Napoli. It felt like the match Roma played against Napoli. Obviously Inter was the one that got the result and Lazio get the result. And fair play to them in terms of how they had to play. Numbers behind the ball, defensive, but trying to attack, and try to go up when they could find the moment. And I like the character of Lazio a lot. And I think they've stepped up in a lot of big games so far this year against the top teams. Sometimes it's the smaller ones that cause them problems. But I think that's a testament to the character that they're growing with in this second year under Maurizio Sarri. Because it's not easy to hammer out, especially even when you're up 1-0 against Napoli, to keep it going. So credit to them. They're the first team that beats Napoli at home in Serie A. And massive win for them.
Yeah, go ahead, because I only check their highlights.
Yeah, I think even Lazio, I think the fact that you don't allow a goal obviously comes to the fact that Sarri was very defensive in this game, and I think he maybe came to a realization that he needs to get 3 points or needs points in this game, because Champions League is a big win for him and for Lazio as a whole. So he's right there, we're in third place now. So they're in really good position. They have to obviously be able to keep up. There's 10 games left or so. So
no,
right?
13.
13 games left, sorry, because I was looking at Serie B.
Math is difficult.
Serie B.
Why are you thinking about Serie B?
I'm watching Giuseppe Rossi. Spal 1. Spal 1.
How's he doing?
It's good. He
He's
came
playing?
in midweek, played
Nice.
a game, so 15 minutes, 20
Good.
minutes, so it's good. But anyway, these points now are very important to make sure you maintain that Champions League, because it's very tight up there for that Champions League spot. And then Napoli, I think they had chances. They just weren't able to finish. And, for them, I don't consider a slip up. They're still 15 points ahead. They're in the driver's seat. They have the season ahead of them where they can mess up, I think, another 5 games.
Yeah, it's 5.
And they'll still be able to
And everyone
win.
else has to be perfect,
And
though.
everyone has to be perfect. So that's plenty of wiggle room for them. And it's just sometimes you can't win every game. It's impossible. And Lazio were able to come up on top.
What do you think if they lose the next game? I think they're playing a tough team next game. Is it Atalanta?
We'll check right now.
I think it's Atalanta.
Yeah.
What happens if they lose the next game?
I still see that they're in a good position.
Atalanta. But
yeah.
they are at home. And then they have the game against Frankfurt in Champions League. Then Torino, away in Torino. Then against Milan, where they're in Naples. And then Lecce.
I think
Not easy games.
I think if they lose versus Atalanta, I think they're still in an okay position, because the teams behind them drop so many points. So even for an instant that they look like they're going down, Inter, Milan, whoever's behind them are gonna drop points. So I really don't see anything. What would be interesting is if we say after the Milan game that they drop 2 games, like if they lost Atalanta and then Milan, then things could maybe get interesting on a psychological side. But I don't foresee that.
What do you think?
I think if they lose, I don't think so, because I saw the reaction after the Inter game. I mean, they came back and they came back strong. So I think this team is a little bit different than the past teams. I think they'll come back and they'll come back strong. But talking about Lazio, I mean, I criticize Sarri, I criticize Lazio. You never know what happens, but hey, they're right up there. I mean,
Third place.
They're third place, so he's doing good, and they beat some good teams. I mean, Lazio beat some good teams. They beat Atalanta. I mean, they beat Fiorentina. Those they drop a game here and there, but
they make it up.
At the end, they're in third place. And where do you expect for Lazio at the beginning of the season?
You're right. A lot of put them outside the top 4. A lot of
They have the 6th wage bill too. So even Atalanta has overspent them.
The what?
So the 6th
Money
highest
they-
wage bill.
money
they-
So how much they're spending on wages. So that means that Napoli, Juventus, Inter, Milan, Roma, and Atalanta, they all spend more than Lazio.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy that they're in third place. considering that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody put it in the top 4.
And the big games, like you said,
Yeah.
they beat Milan, they
Yeah.
beat Roma, they beat Inter. Now they beat Napoli.
Yeah.
They tied. This is where they get caught up. They tied Torino, Sampdoria, Udinese, Empoli, Fiorentina, Verona. They've lost to Atalanta twice, Juventus. They lost to Napoli the first time, and then they lost to Salernitana and lost to Lecce.
Yeah, it's those Verona teams, the Verona, the Cremonese, you tie those games, and they lost to Salernitana.
They lost to Salernitana. No, yeah, they lost to Salernitana
Not the
and
last
Lecce.
game. Not the last game,
No,
right?
once.
Oh,
I'm
once,
saying.
okay.
The first,
yeah.
the first round.
They had 3-1, wasn't it? Like 3-1 or something?
Yeah.
Because I think the last time they beat. Anyway, yeah, those are the thing.
No,
I mean, those games you think that they will win, and then Napoli you think, oh, absolutely, there's no way and then they win the game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because at the end of the season you see all the points that you missed out, and if Lazio picked up those points, they would be a lot closer to Napoli. And I think this goes for any team too, dropping those points to the smaller teams. But yeah, Lazio did a great job. They know you're not going to beat Napoli in their own game. You're not going to beat them in attacking, in shots and all this. So Sarri played a little smart. He played that Grinta kind of football, the high press, more defensive. I think even Spalletti said he let the fullbacks defend. He didn't even let the fullbacks go. Oh, ADL, yeah, you're right. Napoli's president De Laurentiis said Sarri didn't let his fullbacks go up. He played a little bit safer, but that's what you got to do. You know what team you are. You know what resource you are. You know you're going arguably the most informed team in Europe on it right now. They get a lucky shot, Vecino, nice goal. Sometimes you got to do that, just like Mancini against Juventus, and you hold on till the end. And Napoli didn't have the same game that they did in previous times, so you collect this and build on for the future for Lazio. Lazio looking good right now in third place, and if they can keep this up, they can cement the top 4 finish.
So I just checked, which is pretty crazy now that I'm realizing this. So we made a graphic. Actually, no, this is after the game. But against top teams, against the top 6, the big 6, Napoli got 18 points. Lazio got 15 points. Wow. It's not a big difference.
Yeah,
between the two of them.
they do good against the good thing. That's what I'm saying. Lazio, you can, and then
you drop points.
You drop points. Against
smaller.
Maybe they need a little bit more depth within their squad.
And,
I think they don't have the same depth that the other teams have. But I also like the physical game that they played. Like the defenders were so harsh on Osimhen. There was no space in behind for Osimhen to even be able to run, which limits his game. And for Napoli, for me, like they were a little bit off. They had a lot of chances. The ball didn't want to go into the back of the net. The post that they hit, the crossbars, whatever. But there was a little bit off from them. Like I saw the ball's not being played as accurate as I usually see with Di Lorenzo, with Oliveira, which is normal. I mean, you can't play, like we said, you can't play 38 games and be perfect in every single one. It's just crazy that those are the ones that they slip up on, even the ones that you don't expect. But that's the way that the ball rolled that day, and they need to bounce back because they have obviously Atalanta, and then they have Champions League, which for me is the bigger concern when they go forward.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're in a good position, I think, versus Eintracht Frankfurt the first game. So they're in a position now where they can come home. They're coming back to Napoli and for the Champions League game, and we know that stadium is going to be rocking. So they're still. Even though they lost versus Lazio, I don't see any worries right now with this team.
By the way, do you guys like Provedel?
I love him.
He's doing amazing. I have him in Fantacalcio.
He's probably the best goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's good.
He's pretty
in Serie A right now.
I think he's gonna
this season.
I think he's gonna have Meret in the second behind Donnarumma in his for that Zurich call-ups probably.
It's crazy that he wasn't even going to be the starter at Lazio.
Yeah, they're the Spanish
then
guy.
Maximiliano. He was a starter, and then he got subbed. He got red carded to the first 6 minutes of their first match, and then he's never seen the pitch before. And Provedel has just been amazing.
Yeah.
Between him and Vicario, they've both been like 2 of the top goalkeepers this year.
What's interesting, even with Lazio, what's the amount of goals that they let in? Because in the beginning of the season, their defense was remarkable. And then towards this middle of the season, they've let up some
41
goals.
Scored, 19 conceded.
So still 19 is pretty low for Lazio, right?
It's the second lowest. It's the second best defense in the league. Only 3 behind.
There you go.
Napoli.
Yeah. So
that's solid.
Lots
when
of
you
clean
think
sheets.
of Sarri ball, you don't think of clean sheets. You don't think of this defensive thing.
On the counters.
So just I guess something for next year is to be able to make sure that you win versus these smaller teams, because really in the Scudetto race, it's what you do versus the smaller teams that really define who goes on to win
There's
it.
More small teams than
because
bigger
you can
teams.
lose to the head-to-head games and still end up winning the Scudetto.
Sure. Speaking of that, and I think the reason why Antonio's not here, Fiorentina beat Milan 2-1. We haven't heard from Antonio since, actually. Usually he's always annoying us, trying to get into the studio, trying to hang out with us. He's been very quiet.
Yeah, there's no signal in the bunkers where he's
Fiorentina.
Well, you watched the game with him, right?
I saw the game with him.
Yeah.
He was completely silent. I felt bad for him. I tried instigating, and he was just like a sad puppy. So I didn't say too much. Fiorentina played.
Was he crying when he left?
I think I saw a tear roll. He ran out before I really saw his face completely. So he wasn't happy at all.
What were your thoughts?
I thought Fiorentina played really good. I think they could have won by more. I think this 2-1 is a lie of how it would have been. Fiorentina played great. They really pressed Milan, gave Magnan a hard. If it wasn't Magnan there, it could have been 3 or 4. He played very good. But Fiorentina definitely deserved it. Milan, they lack that bite in attack. Giroud from pre-World Cup is missing. They don't have anyone that can really create. CDK doesn't create. Messias, he comes here and there. Leao, he's either there or he's not there.
He wasn't available.
Well, he wasn't
No,
there.
I know. I'm just saying in general. I meant
But
this season.
without, I feel like it's without him. They don't have much.
Yeah, they
Milan.
rely on him too much. But just in general, this game, it showed you like a series of how inconsistent they are. It's either there or they're not there. That's what I saw.
So you explained to us about your terrible betting, right? That you missed out on all these bets, but Fiorentina is the only one that you got.
Yeah.
So why'd you pick them to win this game?
Well, Fiorentina, they have a solid team everywhere. I like the wings. If the center forward can score goals, they're going to be right there. And then I think they have the right attitude. They're not scared. They go into a game, they're not scared of the other team.
They press.
Yeah, they press and they
look good.
they put pressure. And I said, they're playing home. They're not in a good position. They're kind of desperate. They were coming from a big win in Europe, so they had some confidence in them. I said, this is the game that they're going to do well. I felt like that.
Was part of that also because Leao wasn't there for Milan? Did that play into it at all?
Yeah, Leao was not there. That played a part on it too. But I still think that Fiorentina would have come up either with a tie or a win, even if Leao was there.
Yeah. I also picked Fiorentina to win, and the reason also was, like Gaetano said, the
Did you bet on it?
I did.
No, oh my!
Yeah,
show
they're
us, buddy.
gatekeeping over here.
Yeah,
We didn't get any messages in the group chat about that.
Yeah, and like
It was a last minute bet, but
everyone's been all.
Yeah. When they hit,
that was my first bet ever, by the
Everyone's
way.
very
Your first bet
quiet.
ever. So you're 100%.
That was my first bet. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
But anyway, I also
A
felt
lot of pressure for your second bet.
I know. Should I go with Inter? I don't know. But no,
Not
not
away.
with Inzaghi.
Don't do that.
Milan also Champions League this week, so also the focus of the team. At times that's also a distraction, or like as a team you're focusing on this Tottenham game, and that's the pressure. No matter what, even the great Mourinho with that Inter team that won the treble, the game before the Champions League was always a hard game where he would rotate his squad, but then, and similar to a Milan, obviously they were forced with Brahim Diaz out, Leao out. But the guys that came in weren't able to produce enough. But Fiorentina looked like foaming at the mouth for this game.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, how they were going for every tackle. They were trying to win every ball.
Blood.
Cabral looked good. The team was just moving the right way, and there was something in the air that night that really propelled Fiorentina to a nice 2-1 victory. And then even Jovic coming off the bench was able to score the goal, and that ended up being the ceiling.
The movement on that second goal was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
The
man.
run forward on, I think it was Chow that was marking him. Chow was terrible.
Yeah, Chow.
Two attackers
go
open.
forward,
Two attackers
makes a
open.
forward run and then pulls away.
Yeah.
Chow.
It's very
good
hard.
center forward play.
There was no man marking on there. There
Chow
was two
took the
players
bite.
open there.
It's very hard
Chow
because
took
you have
the
that
bait.
instant.
Took the bait. What did I say? Bite?
I don't know what you said.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what you meant.
Also, if you go for the game of the week, anything can happen in the game of the week. When you go from a derby, when you have Roma Juventus, you got Inter Milan, you got those games, they can go either way. So it's very difficult. So just in case you want to know, I'm going for Fiorentina again.
Who are they playing?
Whoever they play, I think
They play Napoli. They play Napoli.
No. They play, no.
He knows 'cause they're playing Atalanta.
They play Cremonese or Lecce.
Okay,
I
I
think.
can do that too then.
I think Lecce or Cremonese, something
the
like
last
that.
place there. Okay.
We're gonna check right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're playing Cremonese.
Cremonese and Lecce the week
We're
after.
second and last. I
Hey,
think.
Cremonese gave Sassuolo a scare.
I know
No, that's
Cremonese.
true.
I mean,
Then you bet on Roma the one time they play Cremonese and Cremonese wins.
And Cremonese, yeah.
Explain that one.
Oh, 2 times they played.
Yeah, they
2 times. Yeah, Coppa Italia too.
that was unbelievable. That's why I'm staying away from.
So I agree with everything you said. Fiorentina has been top. If you look at the numbers, like top in like top 5 in all the most important metrics. XG, expected goals scored, chances created, crosses, possession, high press, everything. They just haven't been able to finalize things. So they look super hungry. If they get their goal scorers going, like Cabral looked great. I like that he started Cabral instead of starting Jovic. I think that Cabral earned the place to start, and I think he does better. He helped the team a lot out, more than Jovic does. And then good from Jovic to come in, obviously, and score. Nico Gonzalez, for me, is key player for the team. He's top. I mean, he really does so many things well. Icone, sometimes he could be so frustrating because he's technically a really good player, but his decision-making at times, you look at him, you're like, why would you do that? Obviously, that's a big difference between top players, right? Sure. Otherwise, Adama Traore would be the greatest player in the world if it was just about that. It's the decision making in the moments
he
that you
was
play.
Smart in getting that penalty, though.
I know.
Yeah, that was.
I thought it was soft.
And even
but
for the second goal,
they were going to call that penalty.
it was his through ball that went to Dodo, and then obviously Dodo made a great cross.
Yeah,
Dodo played well too.
Finish.
Dodo sometimes he's like hit or miss as well, but he had a good game. But like you said, even Terracciano.
They all played well.
Terracciano and Net made a lot of saves. For Milan, Tomori was poor. Kalulu was poor. Chow was poor. CDK was poor. You can make a list. For me, when I didn't see Leao there, I didn't see how they would win the game. And you know who else? Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz, who maybe last year you'd laugh to say that he's an important player. He's another guy that brings a lot of hustle. He brings quality up top, up front. And they might be without him. I was just reading. I heard Giroud got the flu. He might not make Tottenham. And Brahim Diaz might not be fit for Tottenham. Those are 2 big absences if they're not there. And you're going to London, which was already a hard game. Yeah, after a loss like this, I don't know. I'm scared.
Is Ibra ready for the 90 minutes or?
I don't know.
They're not gonna
for the 90. He's been playing, but I don't think for the 90. They're gonna have to play Origi or something.
I'm very scared about that game.
Giroud is gonna play, even if he's not. If he has a flu, they'll get a way to get him into the game.
Hopefully. He's gonna perform.
And then they'll take him
like
out.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Play a flu game.
Yeah, and then they'll take him out if he doesn't.
Yeah, he needs to be on. It's too important of a game.
You gotta.
How do you see the approach going in this match? Because Tottenham, they also lost. Let's not forget. Tottenham lost, I think, to Wolves 1-0, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're still in 4th place, so but they got a couple of extra games.
Fans are super frustrated with Conte. Tottenham fans,
they are
super frustrated. Yeah, not happy with their performances and stuff. The approach, though, how's the approach going to be?
What I heard about the English is that Conte is always complaining about something.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, and he always has that's what they don't like him. Yeah. Just stop complaining at. But that game, they're going to put so much pressure on AC Milan from the beginning.
Think they're going to high press?
Oh yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah,
they're gonna. The first half, I don't think AC Milan is going to be able to come out of their own half.
Does that help them or does that hurt them? Because they get in behind the high press with Leao, like a fast player like Leao?
Well, but they want to score a couple of goals. They're gonna go to score a couple of goals. But I think
it's like the first game. Like whoever gets that first goal, especially with Tottenham, if Milan get that first goal, Tottenham's gonna have a very, very tough time because
we're not gonna see that same Spurs. Spurs looked horrendous.
No, you're not gonna see the same Spurs.
But if Milan
they were missing key players.
If Milan defense played like they're doing against Fiorentina, they're gonna get smoked.
This is desperation time for Tottenham.
They look good though against Tottenham though. Even without, they get Magnan back. There's players that they were missing as well. Without Giroud, it becomes really, really tough though for the way I see it. I just don't want to see. I want to see the approach. If they go into it like we're defending a 1-0, or if they're going into it with the 0-0 mindset and like we have to play this game at all costs. The thing that gives me the most hope, like I say, is that Conte's approach in Europe has not been good. In Champions League, in Europa League, it's really their hiccup into the season. And for me, he does a lot of calculations on like what am I going to do? What am I going to pick and choose? Because he always says that his team depth is not big enough. I'm hoping that happens now, that he does that with Tottenham. But I feel like for them, you playing at home, you're in your home stadium. It's only 1-0 for Milan. The missed chances from Milan in the first game still give me nightmares because you go into this game at least two, could have been 3-0 if Chow and CDK are not scared to head the ball into the back of the net. So I'm disappointed on that, but yeah, I'm nervous about it. Anyway, game's Wednesday. Let's see what happens.
That's a tough game. No bets on that, right?
Oh yeah, what's your bet on that one?
No.
No.
You stay away from that game.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I can't predict that one.
Because I can go against Milan, so I'm gonna stay away.
Or you put money on Tottenham to win, and then you're happy either way. Because if Milan wins, then you're good.
I'd be sad.
Then you feel happy.
I still feel sad.
And then worst case scenario, Milan lose, you win money.
No.
He's like, I'm not doing
just
that.
Serie A, that's it.
Like, yeah.
Talk about Roma Juve. Another game, kind of like Lazio, reminded me of Napoli Lazio with the 1-0, very low scoring Serie A.
That goal.
Can you believe you and I called you yesterday when we were talking. He said Roma beat Juventus without a center forward, without a number 9. You'd never think that would be possible.
I mean, this guy. I think Mourinho is happier if he plays against a Juventus team. I think he would rather play a Juventus every week
than a Cremonese.
Because what does he do? Okay, I'm going to play without a center forward. I'm going to defend myself. I'm not going to let them score, even though the Juventus hit three posts. But I'm not going to let them score, and then I'll take my chances. At the end, maybe I'll put Abraham. At the end, maybe I'll insert some other player, and maybe I'll get the goal. This time, he got a goal from somebody that you will never expect to get a goal. But when he got the ball, he had too much space. No. And Rabiot was too far away. And I saw Rabiot, he was jogging instead of sprinting to him. So he took a beautiful shot. So, you hang out 0-0 until the end. You hang out 1-0. And, you win the game. When you have to attack, you're playing against Cremonese, you have to attack. And then Cremonese, they got a couple of forwards. Or you play against Lecce, which has got a couple of forwards. Hey, you might lose the game. And that's what happens to Roma.
But you're a genius when it works. And
of course.
You would call him an idiot for not playing a number 9.
Of course.
And you saw it like right away. It was so clear. They dominated the midfield. Right. Dybala dropped in. Numerically, they just completely dominated in the midfield, passing the balls around. They didn't do anything going forward. The only chances they had in the first half, outside the area. Yeah. Because there's nothing inside the area.
Right.
But that's what's crazy to me, that Juventus didn't notice that. Yeah. They didn't realize the only way Roma were going to score is a set piece or a shot from outside the area. Yeah. Dybala had him in the beginning. So when they're not pressing Mancini, I'm like, that's the only way that they're going to be able to score a goal, and you're still not limiting that. But sorry.
Yeah, Dybala took a couple of shots in the first half from outside the area. That's it. They were not going anywhere. So Allegri, I don't know. He doesn't do a good job.
I mean, I think we're maybe a little too harsh on Juve because, like we said, the 3 posts.
Well, they hit the 3 posts.
And the other day, I think they would have scored and would have been up. Probably Juve would have won a 1-0 and be like, oh, even closer. And this was a big game for Juve because they would have closed the gap closer to top 4. So this was a huge, huge loss against Roma at the Olimpico. But I think out of all the times that we criticize Allegri, I think for this one, Juve were pretty unlucky for the most part. The stars aligned for Roma getting this win. They played tough football. And we're fortunate to get the win overall. I think Juve did enough to deserve a win on this one, and it was just one of those games. They're unlucky. That's what I think.
I don't necessarily agree.
Okay.
Because the ball didn't want to go into the back of the net. It was one of those games for Juventus. I'm just still tired of the approach, right?
Yeah, but we already know this.
No. But beyond that, not just the gameplay. It's like, what does Chiesa have to do to start a match? Like, do you always have to be that fearful on playing 3 men in the back line with your 5 and then your 2 up top, where Vlahovic looks like a shell of himself because he's not holding up the ball, he's not getting any chances, he's a striker that lives off of that. Do you still have to do that? Like, do you have to play in that sort of way when you've got a Chiesa? He always has to come in off the bench.
I mean,
for me, it doesn't make sense.
You have a perfect 4-3-3 lineup.
Yep.
With Vlahovic over there, and then you got the 2 wings. You got Chiesa and Di Maria. Well, who else can be better than that?
Yeah.
And they both defend. So when they lose the ball, it's not that Chiesa is not going to come back. Chiesa comes back all the time. Yeah. So you got Vlahovic over here. You got the 2 wings. when Di Maria goes on the inside, right? Because he likes to go on the inside to give a nice pass. You have Cuadrado that stays wide and goes up. I mean, you got you can go forward with Di Maria, Chiesa, Vlahovic, and Cuadrado.
And Kostic, there's still Kostic there too.
Who can in Serie A has this much talent? Come on, you should be crossing 100 times between left and right, and then you got Kostic. The guy always makes a cross. You should be able to do. I think he's afraid at the beginning. And
he doesn't trust his defenders.
Yeah,
I think he has no trust in the defense.
He's a little bit afraid, and then he goes up, then he takes out, then he puts Bonucci in, then he takes out.
Sandro got injured.
He got injured.
Yeah, he was injured. But for me, like both. By the way, both of these teams, worst teams in the world to score a goal against and then have to defend, because they score one goal. Roma scores one goal. Juventus scores one goal. They become the worst team because they just bunker down. And fair play to Roma. Just to give Roma one more time, because I wasn't done just saying their praises. Everyone keeps talking about, and they consistently say this, and we've said it here now for months, Mourinho brings nothing to the team. That's constantly what's said. Look at their style of play. What he brings is an us against the world mentality within the squad. That team fights. They understand what's at their disposal. That's not something that you always see from a Roma side. That is typical characteristic of a Jose side, where even the guys on the bench are running over to their teammates. Every single person's fighting. They're also clever with the way that they're, wasting time and dragging the play out and, getting the fouls and playing into Juventus's hands, like winning headers. All that stuff is a testament to the character that he's built at this club. So it felt very good to be able to see that he's reaping the rewards of what he's built.
Listen, you're playing against you're playing in Roma in front of 75,000 people, and you don't start a center forward. That's Mourinho. I think a lot of that game, he won that game because any other coach, he would start Abraham. I mean, there's no way you don't start Abraham in that game.
Mourinho is one of those coaches, like you said, that us against the world, where he's an underdog coach. Like, he works in certain areas. Like with Inter, it was perfect. With Roma, it seems like it's a marriage to come true. With Real Madrid, it didn't work. Real Madrid is a favorite club. Everyone loves Real Madrid, and it's always about the attack-minded.
But he won at Real
stuff.
Madrid.
He won, but he didn't have the same effect. I don't think he had the same effect.
Barca were also incredible at that time.
100%. But I think even with the fans, maybe, I would say that there wasn't this love of Mourinho.
They didn't like how he portrayed them.
He
wanted to act like an underdog when in reality Real Madrid aren't that.
Exactly. It's his style, his pragmatic approach. But I have to say, like, the Olimpico looked like the Colosseum.
Yeah,
like, I felt like the Roman players were gladiators, the way they were going after every ball, and just like just in the beginning of energy. I don't know whose call it is with the whole singing and stuff like that, giving that Liverpool type feel. It's amazing. It's really, you feel the goosebumps when you hear the whole fans and the stadium being full.
There's few places that are better than Rome.
That's the beauty of football. That's the beauty of calcio. But, even, let's say, we're talking about the number 9 with Tammy and stuff like that. Mourinho has always been one to kind of pull the rabbit out of the hat. Maybe it was also because, you have this very physical Juventus defense as well with the 3-man back. Danilo, Bremer, right?
They were standing there looking like what to do.
So, like, they had no one to man mark or be physical with. So, like, you have to kind of come out and you change your approach to the game. So, I'm not saying it was a perfect thing, but it looked like, even Roma, the way that they were having possession of the ball, they didn't do much going forward, but they were able to dominate possession, which I'm even looking at Juventus saying, hey, Allegri, that Mourinho plays a certain way. This is your chance to play a proactive football. Go take them. And Juventus usually are, when it's the big games, they do have this pragmatic approach, but they're very solid and able to win these games. And Mike said it also. You hit 3 posts, you're unlucky, right? You have the opportunities to score. That changes the game completely. But I'm just nothing new when we say disappointed in Allegri. Mourinho is Mourinho, and he'll be himself for forever. And I guess if we're going to give credit to Sarri, we also should give credit to Mourinho. the team is right there, ready for Champions League. And I think, anyone that said that, they were striving for the Scudetto, I didn't see it.
They're a point below Lazio.
Yeah.
I think people get caught up in styles. Like, people get obsessed with like watching aesthetically good football, and everyone will go crazy about that and give credit to them. And because you don't see that at Roma, which you don't, depending on the type of football you like, but generally the popular style of football is this tiki-taka, passing in the midfield, movements, a lot of high scoring. But they're warriors and they're battlers, and that's it's respectful for them. And another guy, Mancini's not somebody we ever give credit to here, because as a defender, for me, he's pretty average. I feel like he has to always be physical because he's not that good at reading the game or getting interceptions. But he played an unbelievable night, even from the fact to get Moise Kean sent off. He's so smart and annoying to play against. He's smart because it's always the reaction that gets the card, right? A lot of times with center backs, they'll hit you, they'll kick you, it's dirty, but then the referee doesn't see it. He always sees the response, and that's exactly what happened. Even the ball's getting sent in. Like, Juventus' strategy was to cross the ball in. I mean, if you credit Smalling, Ibanez, and Mancini for one thing, it's being great in the air. Like, they're good at fighting and hitting them. So it fell right into their game plan. Rui Patricio was unbelievable. I've never seen him play such a good game in my entire life.
He's going to score an own goal next game. Watch.
Against Cremonese.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you with Mancini. I'm not the biggest fan of him because sometimes he makes some boneheaded decisions and he uses his stubbornness and against him at times in a bad way. But this game, he used in his favor. He annoyed Moise Kean. He annoyed all these attackers. And he got in his way. He was smart. He fell to the ground just like any other defender would do to have the advantage of his team. But if he can keep this up and be annoying, keep this up, and don't do any stupid decision making or any rash movements that he's done in the past, and he stays on this path, he can be a butcher type center back that you'd hate to play against. So, and we know a lot of those.
AKA Materazzi, like that type.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
No nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do it consistently for a while, not just against
I'm just
Juventus.
saying, if he's on the right track,
Ibanez too. Ibanez is the same kind of guy. Like he'll do
not
2-3. He'll do 2-3 games. No, I'm saying he'll do 2-3 games good, and then he'll have a match where in 5 minutes he'll throw everything away. He'll make a stupid foul within the box, give away a penalty kick, lose a ball, pass the ball the wrong way. So, the consistency in those positions, I think, matter. And there's a reason. Same thing like Juventus. There's a reason why they play 3 men in the back is because I think they don't trust either of them in a 4-man defense. It's really just defending with numbers. But whatever. Like you said, Juventus unlucky in terms of the not being able to score. But I just am sick and tired of their approach. I know it's not going to change, but seeing Chiesa just start on the bench for no reason because you're calculating to throw him in. And you want to not concede for the first 45 minutes, which is really the goal. That's what Juventus set out there to do, is to not concede. If you get a goal, great. But it's not overexposing ourselves in any way. And for me, that's a scared type of football. It's not a football that goes with the quality that's within the squad. So that's me. Your boys Inter, consistently getting a win against Lecce. Pretty easy. You got the business done.
Yeah.
Well, Lecce is a tough team, but so I was actually surprised. I thought Inter were going to struggle.
No Bashkirotto.
Okay, yes,
no
I understand that, but Lecce still, I mean, they have a strong team, what we've seen this whole season. So, it was important for Inter to kind of be able to score the goal. It was a great goal by Mkhitaryan, great build-up play, and we were able to take care of business, which unfortunately for an Inter fan is not something that we can say very often this year. We dropped a lot of points, and more importantly, 7 losses in a season is not where Inter should be or is allowed to have at this point in the season. So, important to come back, I guess, from losing versus Bologna and having a dismal performance to then this performance being, somewhat pretty like clinical almost. Like the way the ball was moving in the midfield. Lautaro was on, like everything was working.
Gosens. Yeah, maybe Gosens' best game.
Yeah, Gosens' best game, I have to say. And it really came up in the clutch because DiMarco was out. So, like, I really don't know what to say with this team because we know the quality of the players. Inzaghi allows this team to play a more free-flowing style Why don't we see these type of performances more? Does it come down to more, Inzaghi maybe as a tactician is good or has a certain style, but then as the manager / motivator, he lacks, because it's too evident to see this team being up and down and lackadaisical at times, and then at the same time be this superior team.
So before we get your comment, because I know you weren't here last week, so you didn't get to talk about the match against Bologna and Inzaghi. We had the conversation. Let's give them credit because they beat Lecce, right? So we'll take that. I have a couple more things to say, and then you could go in on Inzaghi as I know you probably want to. Lautaro Martinez, I feel like every time he scores, you guys win games. Mm-hmm. He's so important to your team. 14 goals in the season. And in 2023, since winning the World Cup, I know he didn't do much in the World Cup, but he got 7 goals in 10 games in the new year. So he's really been impacted by that. Inter, like you said, consistently. At home, you guys are pretty much consistent. It's just away from home where, I don't know, you lack motivation, you lack some determination. Hakan Çalhanoğlu gave an interesting interview too, talking about that, saying, against the small teams, we're not charged up. Against the big teams, we are. But I think also Lecce played a terrible match. Strefezza was not on his usual self. Cissé, as I said, no Bashkirotto. Even Huynman, who I really like, and I think he's a talented player. He's going to go far. Overall, there was something with Lecce that wasn't clicking that night. Anything else about the game?
No, I think for the most part, if Inter can keep this up, just like you were saying, bring it to their away form, I think they'll do good. We know they're in second place right now. We know the Scudetto's not going to happen, but if they secure that second spot and keep it going to see what I think for this season, it's finishing as high as you could, and for Inter, I think that's second place. And after that, then you make the changes in the summer, whether it's a new coach, whether all the players stay and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, just for me, it's what's it called? There's a saying where it's like weather out the storm or something like that. That's what I think.
But is it good enough?
I mean, is it good enough?
It's not good enough, but it's past that already. It's too late to.
But
you know what I'm trying to say?
Agree. We're all on the same page about that. But I'm saying, is it good enough?
No.
Is it good enough?
No.
What do you think?
Well, for this year now, you're not going to catch Napoli.
Sorry, I'm saying going forward.
Yeah, going forward, that's exactly what you were saying. I don't understand this guy. I mean, you playing against Lecce. How many spectators were there yesterday? Was there 70,000? I mean, you guys are
exact amount, but
you guys are unbelievable.
You don't know the exact amount off the top of your head.
You guys are unbelievable. I mean, you get the most fans. Even if you play with the last team with Verona, the stadium is full. I mean, you should be able to perform. That should be motivation enough for the players to perform. So, what is it?
Not for Inzaghi. He needs 90,000.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's just very weird that the team can have such an up and down, like a bipolar reaction almost, where like Bologna game was terrible.
Yeah, a doctor for that to check.
They couldn't even make a pass. And then Lecce, everything is free flowing and everything. It's just it's upsetting.
Yeah, nothing else. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk better about Inzaghi. So
Peter, on Lukaku, anything for him or?
Lukaku is.
I know he's coming
back now, with injuries. The year that he had the last year, the only thing I can say is that thank God for Dzeko having a really really good year. He's kept us in a lot of games and won games. Lautaro, obviously. And Lukaku's like that added player that, listen.
Expensive added player.
Well, he's already agreed to lower his salary if he is to return. So do
you want him?
We have no money. So if I can get Lukaku for nothing,
there's a jar.
I take him. For $5 million, you're not going to take Lukaku? Yes, I need these.
Show the camera.
Okay.
Tip jar.
There's cobwebs in there right now. Cobwebs.
Yeah, this was supposed to be for the coffee that we have in the studio.
I don't have any change.
Yeah, that's what Antonio says every time.
Don't worry, we take dollar bills.
You have a credit card?
Euros. That's it.
That's the same thing as a dollar now.
You take euros?
Oh, you got euros. Okay. Not bad. It's like he put it right back in his pocket.
Food stamps, whatever.
Listen.
We have no money.
We have no money. Who are we gonna buy?
Just the way you said it.
And you got to pay some money at the end of the year.
We no shirt sponsor.
We have no shirt sponsor. We didn't even get $1 from the shirt sponsor this year. Can you believe that? I get $1
But
for
I
shirt
see,
sponsor.
I see a lot of stuff written in.
But they don't get paid
They
for
don't
it.
get paid for it. They're doing it because they're good people.
Skriniar would just lose for free after.
You think we can do a sponsorship like that, right?
Might as well do it with Roma, no sponsor. The past few seasons, they were just
They're trying to
blank
abide by
jerseys.
their contract.
It's
Because
just-
they don't want to
It's
get into a legal battle.
It's a nightmare for financial reasons, right? And I think this Napoli team, the form that they're in, I don't think anybody would catch them.
You should be closer.
They should take Inzaghi's
Should
salary.
be closer to
the
him.
Mercato. Gaetano would agree to that.
But what about
How much of
Milan?
his salary?
If Inzaghi should be paying Inter to coach.
Yeah, you really sound like Antonio with that. That's an Antonio statement.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
think
that's your paisan from
Gaetano,
Piacenza. So
Gaetano,
you gotta be nice to him.
I can't wait till you meet him one day.
good use of the word.
Gaetano, I can't wait till you meet him one day. I wonder what you're gonna say. You're gonna keep your. You're not gonna say anything. You know, keep your mouth.
I think we agree he's a
quiet
very
on
good coach. He's not a top coach.
I think he's a very good coach.
He's
He's
a good
still
coach.
missing something.
What's very good? He's a good coach.
He's a very good coach.
No,
I
he's a
think
good
he's a
coach.
very good
He's
coach.
a good
He's
coach.
better than people.
Wow.
Well, that's not saying much. He's second division coach.
I mean, his style, like
He's
the
a good
team looks
coach.
good, and they guys have a lot of fight. In the cups, he wins. He wins the Super Coppa. He loves to win the Coppa Italia.
Performs in Champions League.
In Champions League so far, I'm nervous about the away. But if they go forward again in Champions League, it's like, but he lacks to motivate them in certain matches.
I want to see him with another team.
It's now year two, and I'm like, last year, right? They should have won the Scudetto. They didn't. I give him pass. I said it's the first time in a high pressure situation. Now this year, I'm like, I get that Napoli's been amazing, but I still expect Inter to be closer. I still expect you, and this is not just picking on Inter. With Juventus, it's the same old story. For me, same thing with Allegri. At the end of the season, you should 100% move on. If you want a real project, there's no way you go forward with
All
Allegri
that
next
money
year.
on the table.
For me,
You're gonna end up losing more money in the long run. P.
get it. They need a young coach with new ideas that plays a proper way. You're not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere with this idea. Don't forget, Juventus did this season not to get into top 4. I know people are talking about that now. The goal is to get into top 4. That's because of how bad they've been. Also, the 15 points, whatever. That's an important factor, of course, but were not. They should have been challenging for a title.
Yeah.
They brought in players, experienced players to win.
Pogba,
You don't bring
Di
Di
Maria.
Maria in just to qualify for Champions League.
Exactly.
And they're far off. Even with the 15 points, you're still far off of where Napoli were. And don't forget, we forget this. They got embarrassed in the Champions League again. They broke all the most negative records in the Juventus history. This man is not the coach to go forward with next year. He has to finish out the season, of course, because you're not going to
Who do
sack
you
him.
go for?
You need a young coach.
Young coach.
I think you go
don't
back
go?
to your roots. Try to build a project. First, you need a sporting director, an actual sporting director, somebody that thinks and puts out a process for what you need, right? That's number one, because constantly they've bought in players without thinking about how they fit into 11 and how they think 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans. That's for sure. And you need to, like how they found Conte, how Conte was a coach that came from Siena. You know, he came up from Serie B because he was doing so well. Someone with right ideas.
Let me
and that
ask
can
you
build up the
something.
young players.
Would you take Conte next year?
Probably.
It might be available.
Probably.
And Agnelli's not there.
I don't know.
And Yali's not
You
there.
can go for Conte again. I feel like it's one of those things that
It's true.
we overdone it. That's enough. We beat the dead horse already.
I just
and by
think
the way,
the amount of
get
money that
immediate
he's going to
impact.
want.
and by the
Yeah.
way, with the 15 points, you've retired with Inter. I didn't realize that.
But either way,
I know,
look
still
how
pretty
far
bad.
away.
Yeah, it's
What are
not
you,
good.
15 points?
15
Yeah, 15 points
Like
away
15
from
points
Yeah,
from
it's not good.
Napoli.
from
No,
first
yeah,
place.
That to me is like the problem.
But Napoli have just been great. But yeah, they should be closer.
But
It should be
still,
closer.
still, that's not good
Shouldn't be
enough.
15.
It shouldn't be, yeah.
10
It should
to
be
8
under
points
10.
maybe.
It should be
And
under 10.
it's also Champions League. Like, you got embarrassed in
Yeah,
Champions
Champions
League.
League
You got
bad.
absolutely embarrassed. You
become
only beat the Israeli team. That's the only team you beat.
Maccabi.
Guys, they got embarrassed in
It's becoming
Champions
a
League.
pattern for Juve in Europe.
And
which
yeah,
is
you
not
miss
good.
your players, you miss your top players. But even with the big players coming back now, the style didn't change, which we know. Yes, they're winning games. They win games because they have the quality of team that's so
Individual
much better
talents.
than everyone else. It's not for great ideas. It's not for. I don't see that much improvement.
What do you think with Vlahovic under Allegri?
Terrible.
Do you think he regressed as a player?
100. I
'Cause
think
he doesn't look like the he looks like a shadow of himself.
Everyone's blaming Vlahovic. I feel for Vlahovic.
No,
I think he goes to another team. You put this guy in Napoli. You put him in Arsenal. You put him in even Lazio. You put him in Lazio.
Man City.
The amount that they create, the guy will be top goal scorer. For me, he would be top goal scorer.
Listen, the number 9 needs the ball. If he doesn't get the ball, it's very hard for them to score. Like, you only get limited chances as it is, and then if you're never getting the ball or you have 1 or 2 chances, it's very hard to put goals in the back of the net.
Because he's not like Giroud or Dzeko. Like, they help the squad in another way. Like, they do better.
They hold the
That's
ball
one
up.
problem that he has. I'll admit that.
You're talking about 2 players that
But he's a killer
have
in the
15
area.
years of experience. So like those are things that you
True.
develop over time, that you understand the nuances of the game. But for Vlahovic, he needs service.
But he thrives
If you
under
have no service-
someone like
the
Italiano
thing is,
who
they have
gives
the
him the
players,
ball,
yo.
who plays attacking football, that gives him the ball. Look how much he thrived over there.
They have Di Maria and they have Chiesa who could be on the wings helping him out. You're still scared to do that.
But if the philosophy
Exactly.
isn't, if you play Di Maria play back, he's not going to give you what he's supposed to give you. If you're not playing him in the correct position, if you're not playing him in the correct role, if you're not playing him in the correct formation to attack, to play, that ends up as the coach's fault, because he tells you, okay, Di Maria, don't attack this much, or defend, or watch this, don't go all the way, and you're nervous to go because your defense, or that's not the philosophy how you play. That's what you're gonna get.
There's
It's
different
not the
coaches.
players
There's different coaches for
at that
different
point.
teams and
It's the
different
coach.
moments. Right now, and for going forward, sorry, not right now, because to the end of the season, of course, he has to stay. And if we give Allegri credit, he's a great coach in a moment like this where Juventus lose the 15 points. I think he stays calm. He speaks the right way. He brings a sense of tranquility.
Just stabilize
Yeah,
them.
he did very good at that. But when they're going forward, Juventus does not need a coach. They do not need a manager. They don't need a manager. They don't need that Ancelotti type that just speaks to the players. They need a coach. They need a proper coach.
I think it comes, like you said, getting the sporting director and having a direction for this team. Because I think even from the beginning of the season, I said, there's an identity crisis at Juventus, and you said it best. Like, you go after Pogba, you go after Di Maria. That's to win the Scudetto.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, obviously, you're Juventus, you always have to strive to win. But the real starting was saying, hey, this is l'anno zero. That's a common saying in Italy, right?
Translate,
This
Mike.
is your
Zone zero, Lano,
l'anno, the year.
Lano. Oh yeah, L apostrophe A N N O.
That's
Okay,
it.
got it.
So like
It's already-
this is your starting point, your 0 point, right?
Ground zero.
Now
like,
how
as you're saying.
now how can you build it?
Elevate.
And like, I think within this Juventus team, there's a lot of players that can do very, very well for a long time. You have a young core.
If played
Chiesa,
correctly.
Vlahovic. You have Miretti now coming up. Fagioli coming up. Bremer. Don't forget, Bremer's still very young. So, and you have a good mix of some experience with, Szczesny, Danilo, Cuadrado, I don't know if he's staying.
Rabiot,
But, Di
Pogba.
Maria, Rabiot, Pogba. Like, you have a solid team here. Now it's about putting the
Putting all
pieces
together.
together.
Let me ask you
And-
something.
and-
Would you take Zidane?
Nah, you know what?
No.
At this point, I think that Zidane is not the right coach for Juventus. I think he's a great manager, and I think he could be a great manager for a team that has superstars. I don't know honestly, if I'm Zidane and I'm looking at Juventus, I don't know why he would take the job.
He wouldn't.
I don't know why he would take the job.
You know who
Unless
might
you
be
spike his
available?
drink.
I would take Zidane over Allegri. If that's a question, then yes.
Everyone
Would you take Ancelotti?
Nah.
Because he could be available.
No.
He'll be.
He's 10 points behind, I think, in the league.
But he's gonna end up winning the
Then-
Champions League.
They're not gonna last so long.
Ancelotti. I don't think Ancelotti will do anything with Juventus.
What's he gonna do then?
I don't think he'll do anything with the team.
And it's gonna be expensive.
You said
too.
he wanted to retire after Real Madrid. So
He's going to Canada.
He's gonna end
isn't
up
he?
going to Brazil.
he should go coach
Oh, yeah,
Vancouver.
Brazil. There we go, Brazil.
Did you see
wife is from
Did you see the news on the Euros? The Euro. We're trying to get the Euro 3020.
Italy?
What is it?
30-20?
2030.
We're not gonna be here.
2030.
We're all gonna be long dead.
2032.
2032. Yeah, we're doing the bid. Gravina said apparently that this is what I heard, that it would help actually move the stadiums forward.
For sure.
Hopefully.
It
You
bypasses
build- yeah,
the
you-
bureaucracy
You build stadiums for sure.
to be able to do the stadiums.
Let's
Yeah,
push.
we need that.
Let's push for 28. Can we do that?
Yeah, we need that as soon as possible.
And you don't have to worry
I mean,
about
I-
qualification.
I look at those
Euros
stadiums.
were good for qualification.
Oh, thank God.
we need to host the Euros.
World Cup, you mean?
Oh yeah, we need to host the
World
World
Cup,
Cup. Yeah.
yeah.
I botched that one. I said we always qualify for the Euros.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that to happen.
So the coach, I agree with you that there needs to be a change for the coach, definitely. But you want a young guy with not as much experience, or you want somebody like that has got a lot of experience and that knows how to deal with, because there's going to be a lot of stars in that team.
I'm interested in a young guy.
But I think also then the expectations change. Like when Conte was coaching Juventus, no one thought they were going to win.
But they should change though. Like right now,
Exactly.
like where
They
Juventus
need to-
are, you need to have a solid plan. Like you need to, and like Conte, when they brought Conte in, the plan was not to win the Scudetto.
No.
But they managed to do it. They were way ahead of schedule and ended up screwing them up a little bit in terms of the management with Conte, because then he had higher expectations. He wanted to buy more players right away. But that's what I'm saying. They need to start from there, because the team is far off from that point. And Allegri is not the guy to take you forward. He's not the guy to take you forward. It's clear. It's very clear. If you don't see this, I don't know what you're looking at.
Would you take Italiano to Juventus?
I love Italiano.
And he's gonna be better than Allegri.
There's always like
Just how much better?
there's always a difference in terms of like
Complete opposite. And he plays the 4-3-3.
How
Yeah.
about De Zerbi?
That Zerbi's not going to Juve.
Is he a free agent?
No. So just sign with Brian.
Oh yeah,
So
that's right.
the thing is, I think about this all the time, right? The difference, right? Because sometimes there's a couple good coaches that come up with good ideas, they get results, and there's always a quality that's missing from them, like to get to the next level, to take the next step, dealing with pressure, the mentality that you share. Because I think it's not enough just to have a good style. I don't think those things will make you win in a top team. So those are things we don't know about Italiano, but I think he's incredible at everything. I love his teams. I know that the team is far off from where they should be, but the team is always well prepared. I see him with a fire on the sidelines. He's a young coach that brings a lot to the table. And Peter and I were just looking up. We were doing some research on the computer because we're working on a little content series about sporting directors in Italy. And we looked up Giuntoli, right? Giuntoli, who now the entire world is talking about because of what he's done with Napoli, how he found Italia, he found all these talents. His job before Napoli was Carpi, and taking them from Serie D all the way up, fourth division all the way up. So that's talent at the end of the day, right? He did it at a smaller level. He did it in Serie D, but he had the talent to make the jump to Napoli, and they found that. And look where he's taken Napoli as well.
Yep. And I think it goes even because a lot of people don't realize, but soccer, football, calcio, the business side of things is similar to any other small business, big Fortune 500 business. There needs to be a sense of direction, a project, and then you need the right people involved. Exactly. And I think, the whole conversation, even in like the job market and stuff, is always like people would say, hey, like for, let's say a boss or an owner of a company, finding good workers or people that are great at what they do, that's like so valuable for a business. And that's the same thing in football, where if you have the right people in charge, that's going to make that team work that much better.
Yeah, you're right. All gonna be on the
Explain
same
the
page.
Juventus project to me.
There's no project.
The Juventus project, I think there needs to be a
No. Explain what is their current project
right now.
Yeah.
That's why I said there's a crisis. There's a crisis, and it stems from Cristiano Ronaldo. Because when they signed Cristiano Ronaldo, it was to win Champions League. And when that didn't happen, there was like a downturn. Because then you're trying to figure out, and it came to the effect of the whole budget and, this quote unquote scandal, right? About trying to figure out how to make the budget work and how to be able to buy and sell players and figuring out what's the next step. And I think, you go from, sacking Allegri to then, who was it? Sarri. And then Pirlo, and then going back to Allegri. So it's like,
so boneheaded.
What are you trying to do? And so at all this time, you kind of just like went halfway and then went back. So like the whole problem was, we're winning, but we're not winning beautifully. We're not winning enough to win Champions League. Let's change that. And you go after Sarri, who's never won anything, right? So that was maybe the young coach, even though age-wise he's not young, but his new fresh ideas. You take Sarri, he wins the Scudetto, and then you let him go. Where we know historically Sarri needs that second year to be able to play. And you didn't give him the players that he wanted.
So I think Sarri is a good example of what they're going in the right direction is in terms of the idea, right? And he did very good with the team. The problem with Sarri is that you can't just look on the surface. Yeah. You can't just look at the results because I think culturally they just didn't agree.
He didn't fit the culture.
That him and Juventus
and the players.
They
also.
argue with the suit. Yeah, the players. There's lots of stories from the players saying that they didn't like him. They didn't. He's not good at handling big players, and he's even admitted it now that he doesn't like that because he doesn't play to win. So Juventus's motto is winning is the only thing that matters. His motto is the complete opposite. He would rather lose a game when you play really good and try to play good. Of course, he always wants to win, but he's not win at all costs.
So what does that show? But there was a problem in the leadership where you're saying, "Hey, we don't know what we're looking for."
Right, but they knew that about Sarri.
Yeah,
so that's what surprises me.
Exactly. And then after that, you go after Pirlo.
Yeah.
Wow, that was the dumbest stuff.
You take this guy. We don't want to maybe spend more money because we have another coach on it. And in a sense, for me, because I think I've seen it with Inter and I've seen it with Milan. Where when they just picked Inzaghi and Brocchi and Seedorf, those were all easy scapegoats.
Exactly.
Were you able to pick Pirlo? Oh, Pirlo's the new coach. Yada, yada, yada.
Don't pay him that much.
And let's see what happens. And then even at that point, it's like you already got Pirlo. Why aren't you continuing with him?
And you sack him.
To kind of figure out what's going on.
They're pulling names out of a hat.
And then you go back to Allegri. Yeah. So it's just like very confusing through this whole ordeal. And you see it in Juventus's play.
That's the part that's most disappointing. Just to add, it's like with Pirlo, right? You got him, which he was not the right person to bring in. Number one, which is easy. But okay, let's all agree.
Talking about zero experience.
You get Pirlo. Now, what do you think? You think you're going to win the league and you're going to go far in the Champions League with the coach for the first time?
Yeah.
And then you sack him, even though he gets you top four.
Yeah, gets the Champions League.
So what? Like, what?
Anto thought. What did Anto say?
Win
the Champions League with Pirlo. Well, he wasn't that bad considering with no experience. He got his license like 3 hours before he signed, so whatever. But speaking of Allegri, there was a quote. He said, qualifying for the Champions League with minus 15 penalty wouldn't be like winning a Scudetto. It would be like winning 3.
He's become a troll.
But it's kind of true. I mean, if they make top 4 with minus, he's gonna get extend his contract for another 3 years, whatever the case is. Guy doesn't want to hear any of it.
You need a big.
He's a funny dude.
You need a big time coach.
People take him a little too serious.
He's a grandpa too.
Did you see his? I saw a quote from him where it's like, "I'm a grandpa now, so yeah, I'm gonna start playing a young style, or I'm gonna start playing like the youngsters." He's just funny. Like, he always just tries to mess around. And
he's great on the mic. He knows what he's saying. He's a very smart guy. And listen, it was not too long ago that Real Madrid wanted him. So
should have taken that one.
Right?
But you know why he didn't do it? Because he knows that it's not like at Juventus where he has his buddy Agnelli where he's going to allow him to get off, get a pass. Real Madrid, you don't perform in 3 months, they'll get rid of you. They don't care.
He wanted job security.
Bro, come on. That's why he didn't do it.
No, he's not for Real Madrid.
I know he had another team, but he also brought Juventus to 2 finals in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's true.
So like there is a level of competence and also being a high level coach.
He had different
but
players.
It was a different time. You know, Conte built that team. I don't think he's capable of building a team really from. He's just not what they need. He's not what Juventus need.
I don't think
he's not what Juventus need at this moment. At that time with Conte, it worked. And of course, it's easy saying it looking back, but Conte had built that team up. He did really good at managing them. He's also a completely different players actually love Allegri.
Yeah.
Maybe not his style of play, but the way that he handles everyone differently. He's different than Conte, who's like super intense. Allegri's not like that. It was a good balance.
And the good thing with that is when Conte built it up, he kind of left it a very prime Juventus team for them to just perform. Now he has like pieces that he has to try to transform, and he's not the kind of coach that will start from scratch. He's getting like Cuadrado that's past his prime. These players, they're trying to put them together, and they're not the Juventus that they were, and
no vision from a sporting director too.
And exactly. So all those take an effect, and this is what you get. It's not entirely his fault, but it's also the management has a lot to do with what's going on.
Not working. Anyway, anyone else got anything else about this weekend in general? No.
No, what things that upset me, and I want to know if the audience, it upsets also the audience, and maybe they can let us know.
Inzaghi?
if they give him 5 minutes of extra time,
5 seconds before.
and then
He's talking about Arsenal.
and then there's nothing happening those 5 minutes. How can you go and give another minute and 10 seconds extra, and the team scores on the minute and 10 seconds after, and then you give them another minute, and the game they're supposed to ended up on the 95th minute, now it ends up in 98 minutes. How does that happen? I don't know. Now, I watched some of the other games. They give 3 minutes. In Serie A, yes, I was watching a couple of 3 minutes. At 3 minutes and 1 second, the game is over.
Yeah.
But at 2 minutes and 59 seconds, the game is over.
That was today in the Torino match.
That I didn't see. But
it got called like 3 or 4 seconds before because Enrico had a bet on the game, so he was freaking out.
They called it
And
early.
they called it
but,
early. Yeah.
But Gaetano, there was time wasting on that, and they should have played at least another 30 to 45 seconds, and he blew it immediately.
There's no consistency.
So I was
the
like,
math doesn't add up.
So it goes both ways. It
Right,
goes both,
yeah, there's no.
correct.
I mean, I understand if you're making substitutions.
Yeah.
Okay, you're supposed to give extra time.
Yeah.
But if there are no substitutions,
Okay.
how do you let them? Some games they play a minute, 2 minutes extra,
Depending how much time is being wasted or not being played.
and yeah, but in the 45 minutes, okay, most games,
Yeah, I get that,
45 minutes.
It's like
you
2 or 3
you give
minutes.
3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And that includes the substitutions.
Yeah.
Then you go and the 90 minute, you give 5 minutes, and then you let them play until 98.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't make any
add
sense.
up.
And you know what's another thing? There's sometimes where, let's say there's 95th minute, right? Let's say 95th, 95, 15. There's a corner kick.
Yeah.
Some referees allow them to take the corner
Some they
kick.
don't, some they
they
blow
don't.
it.
And
Yeah,
it's not just time
Yeah.
being wasted.
And that drives me crazy because you
Yeah,
could
it's
score
not
on that.
consistent.
Some
changes the-
games,
Arsenal scored on the corner.
Yeah, they score on the
true.
corner. Some games you score on the corner.
Some you don't.
So that's why some of the players they get very upset because but I got to take the corner kick. But the best thing to me is what they do in other sports. You stop the clock. Just stop the clock. They drive me crazy with the throw in. If a team is winning and you take a throw in, I timed it.
Yeah.
It's always over 2 minutes for a throw in. A throw in should take 6 seconds, 7 seconds. They take 1 minute, a minute and 10 seconds. Some throw ins are 2 minutes.
And the other thing with the throw in is they don't throw. They always move like 5 yards more closer to the goal.
And then give it to another player.
And then they give it to another player.
it goes so close. And I was
Now
like,
the
whoa, this
team.
should be a
Then I
thing.
watched the team that was losing.
Yeah.
They take the throw in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because it's not in their favor at the time.
Yeah, so you need
They're
to
gonna end up.
there's a
I
lot
think
of stuff.
I heard
You
already
need to
FIFA is
stop the
thinking
game.
about stopping the clock.
you gotta stop the clock.
Also, you know what's so funny? It's like because people will say like, yeah, but they're adding on for time that's wasted. Like in the World Cup, right? They tried to do this a different style where they gave 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was awful.
That was too
The
much.
12
Way
minutes.
way too much.
That was excessive. I don't enjoy that. But right
it's gonna
now,
get to that. Just
right
you don't
now,
see that
just
part.
stop.
yeah.
You
But I
don't
just
see
don't like
that.
the idea of seeing 10 minutes added on.
Just stop the game. Now, if you're playing in a stadium like Roma, which the curva is 100 yards, so now you score a goal and you're running 100 yards to
gotta go to the
celebrate.
racetrack, cross
Then you
the
got
racetrack.
11 players that go to the racetrack to celebrate with you. Then you come back. And then there are stadiums where, I don't know, Genoa, I think, right? Is in Genoa right there? So you can, it's like 5 yards. You go. So how do you determine how much time is wasted for the goal that was scored in
That's
Roma and for the goal
I think
that
there's a
was
job
scored?
They need
for
those
you in
stopwatches.
FIFA.
They got those stopwatches ready.
Come on.
Come on.
There's something weird. There's definitely. I've been noticing it a lot. It's weird. I heard that FIFA's thinking about stopping the clock.
The only thing is if
That's
they
what I
do
heard.
that, it's going to be, what did Antonio say? They start was like 20, 25 minutes of the ball not being played. So we're going to
Well,
be there.
I
It's gonna be
meant
a baseball game.
I think we're gonna have to try something.
I
Yeah, I don't
meant
wanna
to
see that
watch
either.
the
Might be too
games
much.
and then do it with a stopwatch and see what the difference is.
You told it was pretty high.
I only did it for 45 minutes.
tired.
Because
I don't get paid enough for this. I want to
You're
do
doing
for
it
that
for
45
science.
minutes.
for 45 minutes, it was like 8 minutes.
Wow, so that's like a
But
quarter,
they lost
a
8
quarter
minutes.
of
And
an
how much,
hour.
wait. And how much did the referee put on the watch?
Oh,
3 minutes.
Nothing. Like this was the first half. So
Well,
like,
you allowed the
like a
runoff.
minute.
Did you do the runoff? Like every throw in, the
Yeah.
substitute,
I
you
wanna-
allowed a runoff.
You're right. Yeah.
That
like-
adds up, man.
But
Then we gotta try
now
it.
for the throw-in, is there a time for 6 seconds?
I think
Goalkeeper
it is.
But they
6
don't
seconds.
enforce
No,
it.
the
They don't
goalkeeper-
enforce
okay.
it.
I don't know.
though.
The goalkeeper is 6 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I have timed the goalkeeper.
fine.
It's a minute and 10 seconds that they waste. So I don't know about the throw-in if it's 6 seconds too. But between the goalkeeper, between the throw-in, between the guy
5
that
seconds.
celebrates and runs 100
Yeah.
yards and 11 players
Five-
run.
five
No one
seconds.
follows this. No one. They don't enforce this at all.
5
No,
seconds?
Yeah, that's what.
They don't. They don't enforce this at all. Even with a goalkeeper, they overextend it.
A
little
minute. I have the team that was winning. I averaged one team. It was over a minute.
Soccer. Michael looked up basketball.
bit. Oh, why? I didn't type in basketball. Obviously,
I never heard
it.
5 seconds. I heard 6 seconds for the
It's
goalkeeper.
a 7 to 15.
7 to 15.
See, that's not
Not
even an
even, man.
accurate
So there's
thing.
no,
No.
runoff.
And then the other thing is,
But it's not
Basketball, quick
enforced.
5 seconds, maybe.
But it's not
then
even
the other
enforced,
thing
this
is when
thing.
you go for a throw-in, if you have the ball, if you go and you walk and you have the ball in your hand, you should not be able to now give it to another
Yeah, I
player.
agree with
Yeah, that's
Otherwise,
dumb.
don't go.
Yeah, because
And
you
get the
double
ball.
the time there.
Right.
Yeah, I
You
agree
double
with
the
that.
time.
Right.
Anyway, lots of rules that need to be fixed. Guys, thank you
Yeah.
for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao,
All right,
ragazzi.
Guys.
Wow.